Hey everyone, welcome to the Seeds of Success podcast, hosted by Dottie San Martin and myself, Orla Rivera. This show is your weekly dose of knowledge, insights, and actionable tips to transform centers into striking successes. Whether you're a seasoned industry professional or just stepping onto the lanes, we've got you covered. So Dottie, today, with all the holidays that have passed and the holidays that are coming up and just big events throughout the year that people do within centers, I'm starting to wonder, you ran a center for a couple years, right?
Times. Okay.
Yeah. And I ran a center, and you have these events that you come up with, and sometimes you're just so excited they did really well, or sometimes something doesn't do so well. I'm curious to know, I know I was big on getting numbers and being like, man, we sold this much food. This many people bowled, this many people bought drinks. Some people I think just see success and they're kind of like, wow, that was a great event. We should do that again next year. And then they move on.
Yeah.
But I know there's importance of taking those numbers down so you know what worked for you exactly. Because the event could have worked, but maybe your drinks didn't quite work. So you should be taking all those, kind of taking notes and, what is the best way? What do you recommend people to do when it comes to something like that? Do they print certain reports? Do they, what are the top things you think people should be looking for when it comes to?
Well, certainly, after any event that you have in your center, you need to be evaluating it. You need to be running your numbers. You need to go to your system. You pull up your system reports and evaluate, and how did your food and beverage do, so on and so forth. But I like to do what I call an after actions report, where you go in and you put what you did in advance, and you put all your details. Here's what we did. Here's the vendors we used, whatever the details of your event are. And then after the event has happened, you go in and you write, you list what went well, what could have been done better. And that way for next year, you can evaluate that, and you can, the things that didn't go well, you change those, right? You figure out, why did that not go well? What could we have done differently that would have made the results different? And just like the things that went right, okay, you want to make sure that you continue those, right? And you want to see if there's anything else you can add to it to actually make that number go up or make the experience even better. So what we don't want to see is for events to come and go and you never learn from your experience. It's no different than as an individual. You want to be able to learn from your mistakes. You want to be able to, the things that you have learned and you do well, you want to keep learning and keep doing those even better and better, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing goes when you're putting on events in your center, is to evaluate those events. We did something recently. Do I want to start something new? Do I want to stop it? Or do I want to sustain it? And so that's something that we need to look at from a marketing standpoint, or from just an event standpoint. Just because you've done something in the past and it's always been, we've always done this promotion every November, that doesn't mean that you need to continue it. You need to be evaluating those things, right? How are they performing? Have the last 5 years resulted in the sales going down for that particular event? If so, what does that tell you? It tells you need to do something about it or stop it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes I think as a manager and owner, I know I've had great ideas, of course, but you have these great ideas, or you're like, this is going to be awesome. I know this is going to work. Let's say it's, I don't know, we're going to have a TikTok event because TikTok's so big right now. And then it just doesn't quite work out. Or you maybe do a couple weeks in a row and it's just not hitting the way you wanted it to, even though you thought you had the perfect promotion. At what point, like we said, you have some experience. At what point does somebody, I don't want to use the words give up, but when do you kind of finally say, okay, this probably isn't working. We should try something else. At what point do you kind of, are you looking at your numbers? Are you looking at your sales? And if that's just not moving, is it like, okay, it's time to move on? Even though it's a great idea, it's time to move on.
Yeah. You definitely have to give, anything that you try new, it is sometimes going to take a little bit to pick up some momentum.
Yeah.
But you have to have a little bit of momentum in order to continue doing it, right? But the one thing that I encourage you is to do that, to pull your reports, look at your numbers before you ever start. Make sure you have a good baseline to start off of. But then also to, if it's an event that involves your open play or organized event or whatever, get feedback from those that are participating also.
Yeah.
And find out from them, what is it that they enjoyed? What brought them there? And be able to evaluate. The worst thing under the sun is to not have an approach to something, to just continue doing something because it's always been done that way, to never look for opportunities to do things better, and to never seek that feedback, be it feedback from people that are attending or the feedback out of the system. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
Those are critical. In order to keep moving your business forward, you have to really do all of those things in order to be able to have those grand slams that you're looking for.
Yeah. And you mentioned something there. You mentioned, getting feedback from people. I know we did a show, one of our first shows. I don't remember exactly the title, but it was something about casting your vote or something, where I said, even go old school, put a ballot box in your thing. Hey, do you like this, or what do you like? Or do an online poll. Because there's been times where, did some type of an event and then you don't really think to do it again right away, even though it was successful. And then you get people coming in that are like, hey, are you guys ever going to do this again? Or, hey, remember that time you guys did this? You guys should do that again. And it's like, if they're asking for this, why aren't we doing this again? You know what I mean? So I think getting that feedback from customers, from staff even, did you guys have fun doing that? Did you guys see the customers were having fun doing that? If that's the case, do it again. You don't want to over burn it out, but hey, spread it out a little bit. Do it once a week, do it once a month, depending on what it is. But I think, getting that feedback is very important.
Yes. And evaluating things is so important. And a lot of times, we just get so busy that we forget to do that. But, everything that you do in your center, you need to evaluate and say, do I stop it? Is there something new I need to start? Or do I need to sustain this? And if I'm going to sustain it, is there something I can do to actually take it up a notch?
Yeah.
So that's something, and that is something that you can do with the rest of your key stakeholders or just your employees as a whole, is get their buy-in on those kinds of things. Because I know that our listeners have probably heard us say it a million times. Get your staff involved. You would be surprised at some of the ideas that they may have. And when you are able to, they see that you're listening and you are actually implementing some of their ideas, or at least taking them to heart, that goes a long ways. It motivates them and it makes them want to work even harder for you.
Yeah. I like to say, do we want to add a little gas to it and keep this fire going? Or do you want to add a lot of gas to it and burn it out back because it's doing horrible?
Exactly. So listeners, as we bring this year to an end, I encourage you to take a look at the things that you are doing, the programs that you're offering in your facility, everything, the leagues that you're offering, the birthday parties that you're doing, the programs that you have. Take a look at all of your programs and decide what changes need to be made, what's working, what's not working, what are the numbers. Have my birthday parties been increasing or decreasing over the last few years? Do you know that, listeners? If you don't, there's no better time than now to really dig in and see what's working and what's not.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because I've even been to places before where, I'm honest. I have a friend that might own a restaurant or something. I'm like, why do you guys keep carrying this? Like, it's not very good. Or you guys even sell this? No. But the owner likes it, so we keep it on the menu. But you know what I mean? If you're not making money off it, so you got to get that feedback, because like I said, sometimes you feel something's a hit, but it's not a hit, and you just got to kind of give it up and just be, okay, let's move on from this and get something else that's going to work here.
Yes. And Orly, that's a good point. And, we're talking about programs and the things that are working as far as programming and marketing and such, but it's also a really good time to look at your menu as well. Yeah. What's working and what's not. And if you've got items on your menu that you're keeping in inventory and you're only selling, a couple of units a month, then that item needs to be stopped. So this is a good time to do that. Look at the menu of your birthday parties. Is that the right food items that you have, in your birthday parties? This is another good time to get some feedback from people that are having parties there and evaluate it. Don't just do it because that's the way it's always been.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's funny is we always do this. Like, you say something and then it triggers something to mine. I say something, it triggers back to you. So, so I know it's probably almost the end of the show, but something else just came to mind. Get with your staff too, because for instance, we had a cook that one time was like, "Hey, why are we ordering all this like butter?" And I was like, "Well, don't we need it?" No, the only thing we use that for is like the bun, just to toast it a little bit, but you don't technically need that. It's not really giving it flavor. You could be saving money by not ordering this. You know what I mean? So yeah, if you have stuff you're in your kitchen or anywhere in the center that you don't quite need, do you need 1,000 boxes of candles if you're not selling candles? No, like save the money where you could save the money and use it somewhere else. So yeah, get with your staff or get with your kitchen and let them do an evaluation of the kitchen. What's working, what's not working. Is there things we don't need to keep ordering? So yeah, I think that helps. And they always like to be in, like we say, they always like to be involved. Staff loves to help. Yeah. So.
Yep. Exactly. Well, listeners, thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to you tuning in next week. Actually, next week we are going to be celebrating the holidays, so there won't be an episode next week, but we look forward to the week after that as we equip you with more practical tips, ideas, and trends that will help your center grow and achieve new levels of success. Remember to share this podcast with your entire team. The more seeds you plant, the bigger the crop. Until next time, keep growing your business, one happy customer at a time.